Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Potsy Chronicles. And boy, you do not want to move out of this one because it was something.
Yes, the closing costs alone will be high, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We are into season 2. Who would have thought that, huh?
Certainly not me.
Yeah, not me as well. But here we are, season 2. So we are still watching the DVDs, and let me explain why. So, as I mentioned on more than one episode, there is a streaming service that has a Happy Days channel, but does not seem to have all the Happy Days episodes for some reason. Then there's another streaming service that I think owns the streaming service. I'm not saying any names because they don't give us any money. So here's the deal. I went to one of them, right? The one with the Happy Days channel. And I looked and they had season 2 and they had this episode and they had like maybe 8 other episodes, right? And then they had like some other various seasons. And then I went to the other one and they had just season 2 and they had some episodes. But here's the deal. I got a little nervous because as I was looking, there was like an episode with a thumbnail with Fonzie and a little child dressed as Fonzie, both wearing sunglasses and a leather jacket, right? And then when I went to the other one, they had the same thumbnail, but for a different episode. Now, it's entirely possible that there are 2 season 2 Happy Days episodes with Fonzie and a little child dressed as him, both doing the same pose, but I didn't want to risk it. So I put in the DVD yet again. So for right now, we're still on the DVDs. Maybe one day the Happy Days channel will actually have all the Happy Days episodes. You would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when they had the WWE Network, I believe they had all the WWE content on it, right? Because it was the WWE Network.
I wasn't watching then, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Maybe that was a rhetorical question then. I'm pretty sure that the WWE Network had all the WWE content on it.
I would hope so.
Yeah, which you would also think a Happy Days channel would have all the Happy Days, or at least the majority of Happy Days, but no, they do not. So we started season 2, and I don't know if we should talk about this now or later. Would you say that it's improved? Happy Days, that is, with season 2.
Like just the episode as a whole, or just like everything?
It might be a little too early to tell. Yeah, there are some things we're going to jump into that were a little different in season 2. I will tell you this, oddly enough, speaking of timely, I did see that the time that the show was retooled was season 3. And what happened in season 3 apparently is they put a live studio audience and they used 3 cameras instead of the 1 camera, which now I think, did they have canned laughter? I'm pretty sure they had canned laughter in this one. So anything you hear season 3 and after will be actual audience members probably looking at a applause or laugh sign. But here, I believe it's the canned laughter. And apparently, Henry Winkler, of course, the actor who plays the Fonz, said that Ron Howard, the actor that played Richie Cunningham, got really nervous when they had a live studio audience because I guess, like in his acting thing, it was just, no live audiences. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So season 3 is apparently, we're a long way from season 3 if you want to rock and roll. You know what I mean?
How many episodes are in season 2?
A lot. I believe more than 16, which was in the first one, considering that was the mid-season replacement, right? And I think we're at the beginning of a season. So, and of the DVD set, I believe had more than 3 DVDs. So I'm just going to say, I don't know. We might make it. We might not.
You were lucky enough to make it through season 1.
Me or you?
Well, we were, I guess.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, I know. It kind of depends who you ask there. But we made it through season 1. I don't know. I feel like, what do you say? Like the all downhill from here, or is it all uphill from? No, if it's all downhill from here, like I guess if you're riding a bike, that might be nice, right?
Yeah.
But like it's also kind of dangerous if you're just going down a hill, right? But then if it's uphill, it's like it's hard to. So I don't know which is worse. Are we uphill or downhill at this point with Happy Days?
Well, I mean, if it's getting better, I'd probably say uphill.
Oh, so we're going uphill.
Because Just imagine you're bringing your bike up. And
Yeah.
you're just like excited, like, oh man, I'm gonna be able to bring my bike down and it's gonna be like the best 5 seconds of my life.
That's a very optimistic attitude, I think, on that. That's a glass half full type thing. Because, yeah, you could say, like, let's say you're climbing a mountain, right? Like, that's the journey, right? Climbing the mountain. So you're going up. Well, technically, it's not a hill, it's up a mountain, right? Not up a hill, but you're going up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going up, it seems like you're better. You're going up. You're feeling up. You know what I mean? But if you're feeling down, that's not always the best. So I agree with you. I think I think we're going uphill here.
Yeah.
We'll find out whether that's good or bad, but I think, like you said, yes, it's uphill. So, going uphill, season 2, episode 1 is in the books for us. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about before we jump into the episode? Any thoughts on season 1? I know we said a lot about season 1, but anything you wanted to talk about, or you just want to jump into the episode?
I will say this, right?
Yes.
When you put that disc right in,
Yeah.
the menu popped up of all the episodes and whatnot.
Yeah.
I feel like it looked better than what we had before. Definitely better than what was in the 3rd disc, because they had that, jukebox, right?
Yeah.
And they had a really low quality picture of Richie and Joni for some reason.
Yeah, yeah.
But in this one, it was kind of, I didn't see which Happy Days characters were in it, but I know it was definitely a higher quality. So, yeah.
I think it was kind of everybody together that was in the last one. You know what I mean? So, of course, Fonzie, Richie, all the Cunninghams. Joni looked like she was 35 in that picture, though. Did you notice that?
No, I'll have to see, though.
Yeah, she did not look like the youngin' that she is in this, at least in the first episode. I don't know what it's going to be like later, but yes, I don't know. I wonder if the picture was from season 2. Or if they just took a Happy Days cast photo from maybe a later year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, it was definitely a better quality photo for season 2. So yeah. All right. So before we begin, we always like to do this where I ask my son, give him the title. I was just thinking though, before we get to this, we talked about High Hopes. Do you think that High Hopes, that sounds like that would be a Happy Days episode, don't you think?
Yeah.
If not, that should be an alternative Happy Days episode for the big-time Hollywood producers that are going to reboot it because of art. We like to play this game where I ask my son, give him the title before we watch it, see what he thinks it is, and then we actually talk about what it is. So, this one was probably very hard to figure out because it was called Richie Moves Out. So, what did you think Richie Moves Out was about?
Now, after hearing that title, it was definitely very hard to figure out what that could mean. It could mean anything. He could be moving away from his family a foot away or something. He could be getting a new car or something, moving in that car. Just anything.
Okay, so he could just be moving anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe he's somewhere with movement, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
What about at a dance? What about if it was maybe him doing the waka waka?
You know what? That's what that episode should have been, and we still need that series to be out, by the way, and the documentary. So.
Yes. So, but sadly it was not, and we're going to talk all about it right now. Now, let's go ahead and get into it. The credits start, the 45 record, as we've seen before, starts, and what I'm thinking is it going to be Rock Around the Clock, or is it going to be the Happy Days? Now, I remember seeing a lot of episodes that weren't that good with Rock Around the Clock. And I'm not even talking about just in the last few months. I'm talking about when I was younger. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's still Rock Around the Clock. But it was the Happy Days theme. So this is one of two things. One, they switched to the Happy Days theme for season 2 when it actually aired, right? Or maybe they overdubbed it on the credit. I don't know if they could do that because these credits were kind of long, right? So it probably really was the Happy Days when it originally aired. And yes, as I mentioned, these credits were much longer. I don't even know if I can remember. One thing I can tell you, though, is that some of the cast had new pictures. I believe Marion The actress that played Marion, can't think of her name right now. I think her name really is Marion in real life. Marion Ross, I think. That's weird. I wonder if, like, they wrote that for her, if, like, she's taking an audition and she's like, wait a minute, that's my name. I already got a leg up, you know?
Yeah.
But I think someone else had. But yes, Henry Winkler as the Fonz and Donnie Most, not It's Done Now Yet, are in the opening credits as well. And they're the still frames. We'll talk more about the non-still frames perhaps if this transpires longer. But yeah, we also had some new scenes, right?
Remember, they did bring some of the season 1 ones into it.
The ketchup is back, but they don't have the sound when they squirt the ketchup. The man that may or may not be Ralph Mouth making time with the lady is still there. Well, I'm pretty sure that goes through the whole series because I vividly remember that where the waitress that quits Marcia, the head comes off, that's still there. I think there was something else of the old ones, but I don't know. But we have some new ones. Do you want to tell us some of the new ones and maybe that'll jar me? I mean, we really need to remember to take notes.
So, I do remember this one. You see Ralph Mouth, like, making out with someone, at least you think he is.
Oh,
but really, he turns around and it's just himself kind of with his, like, arms, I guess, crossed.
yeah.
At least that's the best I can really explain it because, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing that whole thing. I'm sure many people have seen that trick where, like, people put their hands back and they put their arms and they put their hands up and down their back as if someone is doing that, but it's Ralph Mouth by the photo booth. Ralph Mouth looks like he's making time with the lady because hands are going back, but then someone turns him around and it's just him with his arms around. And then there's another one by the photo booth. I think, doesn't Potsy knock on the curtain and he opens it and is it Fonzie and a lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, why is he knocking? Is he trying to see the Fonz or is he trying to get his picture taken in the photo booth?
He's probably trying to get his picture taken because I don't really know what he'd need the Fonz for at this time.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to get a headshot for his crooning for the new lottery show that's going to be happening in Milwaukee. Then there's another. Doesn't Potsy also assault the waitress? Is that in this?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us, do you remember it better than I do? I remember that, but do you remember what happened?
I just remember he went up to her and kissed her. And then didn't she just spill something on his shirt?
Yeah. So, not sure that would happen in the opening credits in 2026, but you can definitely tell it wasn't consensual because the waitress did throw something at Potsy. Like, that's so weird. Like, back in the 50s, it was like, I'm going to just throw a cheeseburger at you. You know what I mean? They also cut in the part where Ralph puts the salt in the salt shaker. Goes, this is a very Ralph Mouth heavy opening credits.
Thankfully.
Yeah, I feel like there was another Ralph, too. I mean, that man may be him making time with the lady, but we have Ralph Mouth with the salt shaker where he's pretending to make out with a lady and it's him. Wasn't there another one with Ralph? I feel like there was.
There might have been, but I can't get it off the top of my head.
Yeah, we'll come back to this. This is what we remember for this week. I think there was even some more, because I even was saying, like, this is a much longer opening credits. But yeah, so we do have a new opening credits, the Happy Days theme song, and then we launch into the opener, which is Richie and a lady, I think her name was Gloria, right?
Yeah.
Now, I want to say this. Here's one thing that I noticed, and it would really be something if we got this far. The actress that plays Gloria actually becomes a series regular, and I believe the last season of Happy Days or the next to last or something, the same actress, right? But she's with child. She has a daughter. The girl that was in the Poltergeist movies played her daughter. So I don't know I'm guessing it's a different character. And the Fonz ends up being engaged to this woman, right? So I don't know, like, is it the same character and maybe Richie put her with child?
I guess there's gonna be one way to find out.
Yeah, and the Fonz is like adopting Richie's child. Does Richie even know? Or it could just be a different character, is what I'm thinking. Because I'll tell you what, these Happy Days producers don't really know about continuity, as we'll talk about. You know what I'm saying? We're about to get there. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not ones for continuity, as we will talk about in a few minutes. So, Richie wants to make out with Gloria. Gloria says, she can't make out because his parents aren't asleep, right? They're studying and they're talking about reproduction. Family show, I think we're still in 74.
Family show, by the way.
Yeah. So then he wants to make out with her. She says, no, like your parents aren't asleep. So Richie said, oh, my parents are asleep. Watch this. Mom, Dad. But he says it like really soft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, why would you, yell that, I guess? Because then wouldn't they be woken up?
Well, we're about to get there. Yeah. I think he was just trying to show her that they're asleep, and he was trying to do it quietly so that they wouldn't hear him. But Marion, with her supersized hearing, apparently, comes down and says, did you need something, Richard? And then she talks about how the two of them are sitting in the dark, right?
Yeah.
And then she needs to get a Reader's Digest. So she gets a Reader's Digest and she goes back up. So Richie is about ready to go back to trying to make time with the lady.
Then you hear Howard. I think he says something like he forgot his reading glasses or something. So it goes down there, and you could just tell that, they're both just annoyed that they're coming down there. And Howard's just, taking all this time, just trying to grab his reading glasses.
Yeah, doesn't he bump into the table even?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all dark.
And I think Richie even, goes, ahem, and then makes a signal to, get him to get out. Or whatever.
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, you're right, yeah. So then Howard goes back upstairs. So then Richie's, all upset that he doesn't have any privacy. So then we cut to I think, breakfast table, dinner table, some type of table, right?
Either one works.
Yeah. We see Joni and I think one of her, girls, I don't think they said Girl Scouts, some kind of troop. Joni is in some kind of uniform. And then Richie's talking about his lack of privacy, right? At the breakfast / lunch / dinner table.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then who walks in? And my question is, who walks in?
Let me tell you something, everybody. This man was trying to impersonate the NBA Hall of Famer Chuck Cunningham.
And what's crazy about it, so yes, there is another actor playing Chuck. Now, here's what I'm thinking. Did they think the problem with Chuck Cunningham was the actor? Because it certainly wasn't. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, come on, he was already dribbling that basketball. I could understand what he was saying.
Yeah, did the other actor just want more money? Did he demand more money? Because, how we were talking about, we think that he was just dribbling. I don't know what happened, but I'm not liking the new Chuck. And this new Chuck looks and sounds nothing like the old Chuck. He kind of looks like Dave Foley from The Kids in the Hall, like a bigger version of him, which, Dave Foley's great, but I mean, he looks nothing and sounds nothing like the other Chuck. So I don't know if they're just like, hey, Chuck just needs a reboot. This is Chuck 2.0. Now, I'll tell you this. There are two shows. One was Bewitched. One was Roseanne. Now, Roseanne had a daughter, and then I don't know, that actress either left or they recast the actress, and the other actress, looked faintly similar to the actress. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then Bewitched, she had two husbands, and they looked, kind of similar. And oddly enough, the actors' names were both Dick, like Dick Sargent and Dick York. Isn't that odd?
Yeah.
So not only did they kind of have a similar look, they had the same first name. But they're not going for anything here. This is not Chuck.
Listen, they really think that this man can take the role of not late great, the great Chuck Cunningham. I mean, this man has 100 finals trophies. On top of that, 100 finals MVP trophies.
Yeah, this is I don't want to disparage anybody, but this is like getting an all-star and then getting like a elementary school player. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think this guy can do even like a 100th of what Chuck can do.
No, and I feel like if the internet existed in 1974, there would have been a big internet outcry. I wonder if they had like a letter writing campaign of like, hey, that's not Chuck. There should have been if there wasn't.
I would have done that.
Yeah, there should have been picketing outside the studios of Happy Days. I don't know what it would be called. Maybe the Happy Days studios.
How about we do it now? I mean, it's never too late, right?
Yeah, with all the CGI, they can CGI in the old Chuck actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, this guy, I'm sure he's a nice man in real life, but come on. This isn't Chuck. This guy comes in, he overhears Richie talking about privacy, and then he says, hey, little brother, you can move in with me. My roommate just moved out. I'm just thinking, like, do a lot of high school children's live with their, I'm guessing he's college age? I don't know. I don't think he's in, like, a professional basketball, do you?
I don't know.
They don't really say. I'm just guessing he's in college, but yeah, so wants to move in, and apparently he lives in a garage. They don't say whose garage. Does he live in the Cunningham's garage? So does he pay rent to Howard? Or is that just a garage? They never said, did they?
No, they just said a garage, I think.
Yeah, he's like, I live in the garage. But he doesn't say the garage. He says, I live in a garage apartment. So it could be the Cunningham's garage apartment. It couldn't be. But I think they would have specified, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I live in mom and dad's. And then if it is, Howard's charging Chuck rent, which I can imagine he'd charge the fake Chuck rent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Richie decides, hey, that sounds great. I could get some privacy by living with my brother in his garage apartment, which before I even saw the garage apartment, I'm trying to think, if you're sharing a room with somebody, that doesn't seem like as much privacy as if you have your own room.
Yeah, because it's their room and, they're sharing it with you.
Yeah. So, like, of course, if he's got his lady friend down in the family room, yeah, that's not very private, but he does have his own room. However, if you live in a garage apartment, one-room apartment with your brother, you have no space of your own.
Yeah.
Am I right or am I wrong?
I believe you're right on this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am. So he decides to do that. So we cut to Chuck's apartment. There is literally clothes everywhere. Like laundry, I guess you could say, more than clothes, because it looks like just kind of like rumpled up laundry, right?
It's a pretty messy room.
Yeah, it's very messy. Richie's trying to find where to sit down. He sits on apparently some shark teeth, and Chuck mentions that he flunked a science final. Chuck seemed to have failed a lot of things, right?
Well, I could tell you this. If it was the original Chuck,
yes,
he wouldn't be failing nothing, especially basketball. But this one, I could see why he fails everything.
Yeah.
I believe he also says, like, where do I sleep, right?
Yeah. So as he's looking, he's like, where do I sleep? And then Chuck tells him that he sleeps on the fold-out couch, but then when he pulls the fold-out couch, it, like, doesn't go out all the way. So he has to, like, stay. Oh, and then when he mentions how messy it is, Chuck tells him if he cleans up, right, he will knock some of the rent up. How much did rent cost? Here's the thing now, like, can you imagine, like, anybody now in high school being able to, like, live in a room with their older brother? Like, even if they wanted to, they'd have to have, like, a trust fund or something.
Even in a garage?
Yeah, don't you think?
Yeah.
A garage would probably be as much as a house cost back then.
Yeah.
I think. You know what I mean? Just in this economy. So he's going to knock off some of the rent, which I'm, still wondering, like, how much is this rent? Is Howard the landlord? What's all going on here? So yeah, so Richie is now living with Chuck. He's going to clean up at some point to knock some of the rent off. So then we cut to Arnold's. Richie is now working at Arnold's. Is outside. He's carrying a tray, right?
Yeah.
And he sees Potsy and Ralph and their lady friends, right? And is this where Potsy and Ralph corner him to give him a key to let them use the apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as Richie is working hard for his money, Ralph and Potsy both say to Richie, hey, can we use your apartment? Can I use it on this night? Can I use it on this night? And I think Richie's like, yeah, that's fine. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Afterwards, the waitress that quit tells Richie to get back to work and get those orders. And then the camera kind of goes to Ralph Mouth and Potsy and the women. And Potsy's like, oh man, I feel bad. Did we tip him? And Ralph Mouth said, yeah, we gave him the same tip we give everybody else. Nothing.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, and then doesn't Ralph Mouth also take his fries?
Yeah.
Take, like, another customer's fries before he leaves?
And then he tries putting it back, but then Richie's like, no, you can have it.
Yeah, so Ralph Mouth not only takes another customer's fries, but then he says he's going to tip Richie nothing like he tips everybody else. So, yeah. And this is after Richie lets them use his apartment. Yes. So then we cut to the Cunningham house. They're having dinner. Richie comes in, I guess, just to like talk to his family because he might either live in the garage or he might live far away. We don't really know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he comes in and they're like, hey, you want some dinner? And he's like, oh, no, I guess because he's out on his own, he wants to show he can make it on his own, so he doesn't want to eat, right?
Yeah.
So, like, they're having, like, all this big meal because I'm guessing he probably doesn't eat much at Chuck's apartment, right?
Yeah.
And he's, like, looking at all this food, and he's not partaking in any. Then, like, Marion offers him some brownies, and Howard's like, you know, make your mother happy and have a brownie. And then he takes, like, a couple, and he's like, well, I want to make her really happy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he, like, talks about how, like, he's doing well with Chuck, right? So he doesn't look like he's not making it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we cut to Chuck's apartment. Richie is talking to Chuck as Chuck is playing basketball. He's got a hoop apparently over the restroom in their garage apartment. And Richie's talking about bringing a girl home. And like he's saying, maybe he should put a light in the window if he's got a girl. And Chuck is like, I just usually put a note that just says I have a girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this will come into play here. So then Richie's trying to sleep, and Chuck starts dribbling his basketball, and he says he has to dribble 50 dribbles with each hand, right? And then he loses count.
Yeah.
So he has to start all over again. So then we cut to Arnold's. Richie is not working. He's a customer there, and he's with Gloria, and he's asking her what she would like to do, right?
Yeah. Richie says, you want to go bowling? And Gloria says something like, nah, I don't want to go bowling. You want to go to your apartment?
Yeah, so they go back to his apartment. So then we cut to Chuck and Richie's apartment. Gloria and Richie come back to the apartment. Richie puts a lamp in the window and pulls the shade down, which I thought for sure that place was going to go in flames, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but thankfully it does not. He sits on the couch with Gloria. There's a Uncle Sam picture. Gloria says, looks like it's staring at them. So then they move over and then the couch jumps up.
I don't remember, like, what happened or what made her say this, but I do remember she said, like, oh, I gotta be home by 11.
Yeah!
And he gets this little clock, I guess a timer for until 11 o'clock.
Yeah, he got like an alarm clock. Yeah, that's right. So when they come in, that's right. She did say she had to be home at 11. So they're doing all this kind of on a time basis. Now, one thing we forgot to mention is when Potsy and Ralph and everybody's using their apartments, they made keys for themselves to Richie's apartment. So this will come in a second. So he's trying to make time with Gloria. The phone rings. He goes to get the phone. Nobody's there. He takes the phone off the hook. This will come into play in a second. Then she's like, we should listen to some music. So he puts a record on that apparently is basketball highlights, right?
Yeah.
Because Chuck likes to listen to basketball highlights, I guess, before he goes to bed. I guess after he dribbles the ball 50 times with each hand. So then all of a sudden we hear the door open. We think it's Chuck, but no, it's Potsy and a lady. Potsy comes in with the lady.
And right behind Potsy is Ralph Mouth.
Yes, Ralph Mouth and a lady are coming in too. I guess they're all unaware that each other are there. It's like that Spider-Man picture where they're all the different Spider-Men are pointing at each other, right?
Yeah.
And then if that weren't enough, Fonzie and a lady comes in. Oh, and I forgot to say, Fonzie is wearing a leather jacket.
Richie says, like, to Ralph Malph, oh, why don't we play some charades then? And then, like, Ralph Malph was like, oh, sure. Like, he didn't understand, like, his tone or anything. So he, like, walked right in, and Potsy was like, oh, if Ralph Malph's gonna be able to sit in here, then I'm gonna sit in here. So Potsy followed along.
Yeah, he didn't realize Richie was being sarcastic. So they did come in and they actually did play charades. So they're coming in playing charades. Fonzie's making out with his lady in the Barca Lounger, which Potsy and Ralph apparently have keys, whereas Fonzie uses a paperclip, right?
Yeah.
Like he just tries to unlock the door with the paperclip. So then, if that weren't enough, Chuck and the basketball team, Chuck seemingly oblivious to the fact that there's a light in the window, comes in. He and the basketball team get out a chalkboard, and I guess they're going over plays as Ralph Mouth Potsy and their ladies play charades. Fonzie makes out with his lady in the Barca Lounger, and then Chuck and the basketball team go over plays, right?
Let me tell you this, right? Richie looked pissed.
Yes.
He was just like, I just wanted to make time with this lady, but we got no privacy.
Yeah, so Richie does get pissed, and then he starts yelling at everybody. I think he does yell, doesn't he? Absolutely yell.
I think he's like, hey guys, hey!
Yeah. And then he tells them that they need to leave. He tells Chuck that they need to go. He tells everybody they need to go. So Chuck and the basketball team leave. Potsy, Ralph, and their ladies leave. And then Fonzie's like, yeah, that's great. And then Richie's like, no, you leave too. And then Fonzie gets up and he says, I like a guy with spunk. And he says, and you're only going to do this once. You get me? Fonzie in his leather jacket. Now we got the leather jacket Fonz.
Yes.
So Fonzie leaves. They go back on the couch to make some time. And what happens?
The alarm goes off.
Yes. So in all that time, it is over. She has to go back because it's 11 o'clock. The clock strikes 11.
Yes.
So
let me tell you this, right? Out of everybody, I gotta say, like, everybody should have left except for that basketball team. Here's why. Because one, it is Chuck's garage.
yeah.
And two, these basketball plays are important, especially for, this new Chuck. He doesn't really know too much about basketball. So,
Yeah, this is a new Chuck, so he does need to learn some more. So they probably should have stayed. And they were kind of over in the corner with the chalkboard anyways. They weren't really bothering anybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So then we cut to Richie's bedroom. Richie and Howard are in there together, right? And Richie's like, oh, it's great to be back home. And Howard's like, I'm going to need the keys, which that kind of makes me think maybe that is his garage. But then why would he be charging rent? And why would he be I guess I could see why he's charging rent, but why would he need the key back? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If Chuck still lives there, shouldn't he give it to Chuck if Chuck is going to find a new roommate? And then Richie starts pulling out these other keys saying, oh, that's Potsy's, that's Ralph Mouse. Then he pulls out a paper clip and he says it's Fonzie's key. Yeah. So then we cut to the Arnold's parking lot. Richie is no longer working there. I guess since he doesn't have to pay rent, he doesn't need any extra cash, which, that must, quite different in the 50s, I guess. He comes to a waitress, not the waitress that quits, not Marsha. It's a different waitress. And the waitress is like, how much is a hot fudge sundae? And Richie says, I don't know. And she says, like 60 cents. And he goes, no, that's too much. With 60 cents for a hot fudge sundae's too much?
Yeah.
And then she said, oh, no, that's good that you say that, because then if I say 60 cents and they're like, it's 20 cents too much, then I know that it's only 40 cents, which I don't know what happened to the roller skates.
I surely wouldn't be complaining about it being 20 cents more,
Yeah, 60-cent hot fudge sundae sounds pretty good. So
we then see Potsy working there. And he has these two trays and he's, like, talking to Ralph Malph and Richie. And he's like, whatever you guys do, do not order any glass things.
Yeah, he says no matter what. And then all of a sudden we hear a honk of a horn. And then
Potsy jumps and gets really scared and drops everything.
so it looks like all three members of the gang have worked there and no longer work there. Because
Yeah,
I'm sure Potsy got fired. So, yeah, so that I think that was it. Was that the episode?
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure we probably forgot some things. I don't think we forgot any plot points, but we really need to remember to take notes, especially here in season 2. So, yeah, that was Richie Moves Out. So, Richie thought the grass was greener on the other proverbial side. He found out that it was not with Chuck, and he could go back and eat, as many brownies as he wants, I'm guessing, at home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
To make his mom happy.
yes, he wanted to make his mom very happy, so he ate all those brownies. But yes,
Horrible Howard or helpful Howard?
now Howard was barely in this episode. He was kind of like the guy at the end, right?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say he was helpful because he kind of let Richie make his own mistakes. I would probably have to say horrible if he's the landlord because he should be going up there and making Chuck clean up, you know?
Yeah.
Even if Chuck's paying rent, he's really diminishing his property with all that stuff. But yeah, I'm going to say helpful Howard. He just kind of guided Richie into making his own decisions. A little bit of horribleness when he wouldn't leave or get the drift when Richie was trying to get rid of him. But overall, helpful Howard. What do you say?
I'm gonna have to say helpful Howard. And here's my reasoning, right? We didn't see him much, as you said, so I'm gonna just use from what we saw. I think he was helpful because he went down to check on his son and everything just to see like how things are going. Sure, he should have caught his drift of, get out of here, we want privacy. But he was just trying to check on his son. He really cares about his son, that's why he went down there. And I also feel that he was helpful because he took those keys so, things like this wouldn't happen again. It might, who knows, but he's trying to make sure there's a lesson learned.
That's a really good point. He might have just been trying to make sure nothing like that happened again. He might not even be the landlord, But so, yeah. So we both agree. Helpful Howard. Is there anything in that episode that we missed? I'm sure there is, but is there anything that you want to talk about that we missed?
Not that I can think of.
All right. So that was season 2, episode 1. I think it's technically episode 17, but we'll just refer to it as episode 17. But season 2, episode 1, Richie Moves Out. Let me ask you this. Are you seeing any upgrades, let's just say, in season 2 as far as show quality?
Honestly, I don't know. There wasn't really I didn't really notice a difference, really. Like, some of the characters looked older, and then, I feel that the menu screen to where we put in the disc, that looks kind of newer. But other than that, I don't know. The intro I feel like was a bit better. Not like the scenes, but I feel like
Having the Happy Days thing.
yeah,
right?
I feel like that was a good upgrade to it since they didn't have to use another song,
I feel too like I do like that this is only the first episode, but there is a lot more Ralph Mouth and Fonzie that I noticed in these episodes. So I think that could be nothing but good,
Yeah.
So yeah. So there we are. We made it at least to the first episode of season 2. We're about to find out if we're going to make it to 8. Wait, if this was 17. Yeah, so 18. Not the Alice Cooper song. Richie kind of is a boy and a man, right? That's the lyrics from. Have you heard that song?
I don't think I have.
But Richie did look a lot older. He looks kind of like a man here. I don't know. At some point, I don't know if they're actually in high school in real life at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it. So, anyways, there we are. Richie Moves Out. So, do you want to watch another episode?
Yes.
All right, so there we are. We'll make it at least to season 2, episode 2, or episode 18. Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, tell everyone you know. If you didn't like it, please keep it to yourself. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
What's Happy Days?